How's everybody doing tonight? Uh, I normally go live on Tuesdays, so this is just another Tuesday live. I was going to sort of continue where I left off in the last video, and by this point, I wanted to say, yeah, I made an embarrassing mistake, and I wanted to correct myself. I already did in the description of that video and the pinned comment, but yeah, I must have been tripping or something because it was late and I was tired. But I was thinking about the loader position on the PAC 75 ceremonial howitzer, and I accidentally said that it didn't have a lanyard when it does, for the firing mech. Of course, it has a lanyard. I don't know what I was thinking. I was tripping or something, but yeah, I just wanted to fix that mistake. It was embarrassing. I listened to myself and I'm like, what? What did I just say? I don't know. I must have been tired, but yeah, I was tripping. I was thinking about the loader position because yeah, you do open up the back of the howitzer with the handle there, where you move it to the side and it opens up and you stick the shell in by hand. You see on the Paladin, on that piece, it has a loading tray that actually you pull it out and then you twist it up and then you set your powder on it and you ram in the powder with the ram, the powder packages of the gunpowder. Then you put the shell on there, verify the shell, make sure the fuse and the shell are correct for the fire mission because your FDC sends down the fire missions, and your gun chief is supposed to verify everything and make sure the crew did it right, like put the right fuse and shell combination together, because there are different shells and different fuses, and then you ram in the shell. Or actually, I'm sorry, you ram in the shell first, then you ram in the powder second, and then you fire it. Yeah, but then yeah, basically that's it. But yeah, I was tripping. I don't know what I was thinking, but yeah, basically, I wanted to do a Tuesday live because again, I wanted to continue where I left off with the last one. But yeah, in the last one, I was talking about all the different things that are basically lining up, basically the way I had it in my internal conflict scenario. You see all the different things going on, and you see how the stuff developing just across the southern border looks eerily similar to exactly what I had in my internal conflict scenario as far as the La Raza Narcos state faction and how they came to be a faction and how they basically were caused to come across our borders by the turmoil going on in Mexico. There was a drug war, and it forced them to cross the border. And they became the La Raza narco state faction because they ended up joining up with their comrades, which were like prison gangs and other sorts of miscreants that were in our side of the border already. And they basically made a lawless criminal, narcotic empire that was based in New Mexico in my scenario, but there's no telling where they would be in real life. But still, I had a representation of that exact thing in my internal conflict scenario. And also the Free American Army being the disgruntled, military personnel that, wanted to put America back under the Constitution. Well, in my scenario, they were, I mentioned specifically that they got tired of the mandates. They got tired of, just everything, the whole, like their morale being at an all-time low, the condition of our armed forces, just everything. Like I even put in there how a lot of the officers bit their tongues just so that they wouldn't get purged, but they secretly hated everything the way it was. And yeah, so there you go. There you go. There's 260,000 that easily represents that exact type of thing. And then there's more. There's more. So, there's the Texas secessionist movement. So there's your Texas secession that represents that. And you see Florida sort of doing their own thing in real life, too. So there's that. So you really got a lot of the ingredients already that I had mentioned in my previous work, And that work is just based on research. That's all it is. It's just based on research. It's just based on real life occurrences, real life everything that's woven together to create a scenario. Let me see who's all in here. It's kind of early for me. Hey, Angry Scandinavian. Yeah, if you listen to my last one, Angry Scandinavian, I made a mistake, man. I said something really dumb I didn't even mean to say. I accidentally said that there wasn't no lanyard on the PAC 75. You know what a PAC 75 is, what we use for our ceremonies. Yeah, I screwed up and I said that there wasn't one. I had to correct that, so I did it. I corrected it and put it in the video descript on the last description. But yeah, I also basically put it in the pin comment too, but I wanted to say it in this video because that was something I didn't mean to say. I minced my words and it was late. Like I said, I must have been tripping or something. I was thinking about the loader position with the handle, where you pull the handle to the side and you open up the back of the howitzer, the bore, the breech. I mean, yeah, you put the shell or the blank. You put the blank in the breech and then you close it. So yeah, that was a mistake I made. I don't know what I was thinking. But I seen you in here. I know you used to be in the Army too, so you know what I'm talking about. Yeah. How's everybody doing? Hey, Y-Fam. Hey, Justin Allman. Hey, Brogan. Good to see you. Heather. How's everybody doing? Yeah, thanks, man. Yeah, I don't know what I was thinking. Yeah, my screenshot, my thumbnail is that's a picture of me in the back of the MRAP back in Iraq. So yeah, it's me all in my gear and everything in better times when I was younger. Yeah, yep. Me and the old crew. I just didn't want to show their faces out of respect for them, just in case. You never know. Some people don't like to be put out there in the public, so I didn't show them. But how's everybody doing? I hope everybody's doing all right. Yeah, I'm just going over basically what I wanted to go over last time as far as the invasion aspect of it, but I think I'll save that for a little later because I'm going to go into more of the internal conflict discussion now that I'm doing this. Good. I'm glad everybody's doing good. Yeah, I wanted to go over this situation. I'm getting the map out. Hold on. Oh, wrong map. Yep, low budget history channel here. Gotta get out my maps and everything. Yeah, I'm cheap like that. Oh, man, where did I put it? Sorry, everybody. I don't mean to waste y'all's time. I'm not trying to waste nobody's time. I should have had it out to begin with. It was more of an afterthought now that I'm pulling it out now. Damn. Here it is, I think. It is. Yeah, here it is. All right. Well, I'm glad everybody's here. Good to see everybody. No, it's not there. Damn, I thought that was it. Well, anyway, let me go ahead and just start talking about some of this. Yeah, I was gonna show, like, with the map, essentially, how all of it fits together as far as, like, the different factions and how they came to be and why they came to be and why that map is still the most realistic representation of any of this that anybody's ever gonna see as far as a map is concerned. It's okay. Here it is. I found it. All right. Sorry, everybody. I like to have visual aids. It just makes everything a lot easier. I didn't have anything really planned. Usually I do a live on Tuesday, but I didn't have really anything planned, and I was thinking about not even doing a live, but since I'm kind of ad hoc in this, I'm a lot better when I'm planned, like I'm not planned, so I'm not all that great to listen to when I don't have things planned. But here's the map. So now y'all got visual aids. Here was where La Raza was in the documentary, right here. And, all the trouble that happened in Mexico caused them to race across the border. And what do we got now? We got open borders galore. People can just come and go as they please. So you bet your sweet ass they're going to be coming over here. With all that's going on down in Mexico, they're going to be coming over here. And they're going to be bringing all their trouble with them. Just like in the documentary. You got the Texas secessionist movement already. There's your Texas going. You got Florida doing their own thing. There's them going now. You got the 260,000. There's them. You got the woke, globalist regime. There's them. What else? Okay, you got your religious kooks and fanatics. There really are fringe groups of them. That's entirely possible. They could go too. Who knows? Who knows? They could go. There's very fringe groups of these guys, these Mormon state types. If they took over the mainstream of their organization and convinced everybody that it was end times prophecies coming true, just like in the documentary, that could easily be them. So who's to say? Even if it's not them, there's other kooks and fanatics. So regardless, you're gonna have kooks and fanatics coming out of the woodwork in any type of collapse. You're just going to have that. You will have that. You will see it. I don't know what they're going to do. I don't know if they're going to do their own thing. But that's entirely possible. Like how you had your Union of Southwest militias. Out in these far-flung deserty areas. There's communities of people that could very easily do that type of thing, because if you know anything about Nevada, you already know that those people there are nothing like the people here. Like, they're nothing like them, if you know anything about Nevada. So they're very keen on trying to keep their identity the way it is, and local rule would be a very realistic type of thing. That's why I made them the way I made them. And, you sort of have a little bit of that in Arizona as well. You sort of have a little bit of that mentality there. But Arizona's kind of like wishy-washy, because you still got Phoenix and Tucson, two large, urban areas with sort of like it's sort of mixed, and then you got Fort Huachuca, which is why the Free American Army they ended up having a stronghold here in the scenario, and then you got up here, this is traditionally a conservative area, your eastern parts of Washington and Oregon. That's why I made them separate, and they sort of went their own direction. I made them a separate entity from them. Maine sort of has its own identity apart from the rest of the Northeast. They are very much, they're different. They're not like, these like pro-globalist oriented areas of the Northeast either, and then there's of course the little islands where you had a lot of installations or a lot of troops. Like you had this part of Georgia right here along the coast by Savannah. You have Fort Stewart area. You got all the installations around Jacksonville, and of course around Daytona Beach. You had all these other islands that I decided to keep. For the sake of the scenario, I decided to keep them loyal to the globalist regime, but they were just islands. You have, woke Chicago and woke Detroit, so on and so forth. But there's your whole map. I even threw neutral areas in there to keep it real, because, there are going to be areas that just don't pick any side in any sort of a Syrian-style affair, So really, you got everybody here represented by basically everything. This is probably the most realistic rendition of any internal conflict type of a map that anyone's ever going to see. It may not be the exact, boundaries, but it had a little bit of everybody represented in it, so I just sort of, really thought hard about every aspect of it. I mean, if you watch the documentary, then you've seen how much thought went into that. That didn't just come out of nowhere. It didn't just come out of left field. There was a lot of thought put into that, a lot of thought. So, yeah, that brings us back to, the other stream I did before this, which I did that because when I saw the situation as it was developing down here, it just made me stay up that entire night. I'd already been up for a while, but I stayed up that night because it really shocked me to my core, because that just told me just how close we are to this, It told me just how close we are to this. Since I didn't have anything planned, I'm going to, do a little bit more interacting with the audience this time, because I'm not just here to just spill a monologue. I'm here to actually, just ad hoc it and talk to people this time. So, wanted to see what everybody's thinking about all this. Yeah, yeah, thanks, Angry Scandinavian. Yeah. I thought really hard about how I would name those people. And those names came to mind because I know how serious and like hardcore they are about their, their old-timey sorts of ways, Yeah. It's pretty legit. Yeah, thank you, man. Thank you. I don't like to waste time. I want to be able to help as many people as I can. That's the whole reason why I even do any of this stuff. I put together those documentaries where I compile all the research and put it all together into one single scenario. I do all of that because I feel like it is the best way to help people not be blindsided by anything like this. Because if you already sort of know and you have the general rundown of what that would even look like, then you're not going to be blindsided by none of it when it does happen. You're not going to be shocked by any of it. Like none of it's going to, take you by surprise. You're not going to be like, "Oh, wow, there's these different groups and factions and people with these beliefs or that or those other beliefs." You're not going to be like that. You're not going to be taken back or shocked by any of it. You'll just sort of roll with the punches, and you'll sort of already have a general idea because you would have been wise enough to use what you already learned about these types of things to plan for it. You're not going to be shocked by any of it. You're already going to know how to plan for your own preparedness, for you and your family. You're going to know where to go, what to do, because you already basically had the general rundown about what this type of thing even looks like or moves like. What type of people are involved and the types of atrocities they would do, based on whatever. Like if you're like a secular humanist faction, that secular humanism shits on humanity. They're going to be very brutal. These guys are going to be brutal because they're religious nuts. They're not going to listen to reason. They're not going to be, reasonable people. You already sort of know that type of stuff already. You've already had information on like the types of things that happen. And all the stuff I put in those documentaries are stuff that happened in real civil wars from around the world. That's the stuff that happens in real internal conflicts from around the world. And I had these other factions doing it, None of it's really, new or shocking. So, let's see what everybody's saying here. Hey, all smiles. Good to see you. Thank you for dropping in. YFam, Mary, good to see you. And Angry Scandinavian. And who else is here? Chris Gaskins, howdy. Justin Allman, Brogan, and Heather. Well, I'm glad to see everybody in here. Yeah, I didn't plan this. I didn't plan anything for it, so I'm sorry. I'm just sort of like ad-libbing, ad hocing. I'm just going with the flow this time. I'm just talking about this because, I figure, why not? I'll go over it another time, again, like I'm doing now, and just kind of show and compare all the happenings in real life to things that happened in this. And there are a lot of similarities. I mean, it's almost like eerily similar. It's eerily similar to the documentary series I made. I wish people would really watch that. I really do. I wish people would watch that the whole entire way through. They won't regret it. They wouldn't regret it. They can learn a whole lot about these situations just from watching that. Just from watching that. That, even I watch it, and it's my own work. I know what's in it. Even I watch it because, it's enjoyable to listen to for me because it's like, I really feel like I did everybody a service with that. I really do. I feel like I've done everybody a service with that one. That one was like really just well compiled. Not that the invasion ones weren't. It's just that, the invasion ones were just more or less just campaign maps, and it didn't have a little bit of all the other dynamics like the economic and all that because it was just only over the invasion. It wasn't over like, what the partisans would do as far as like their economies and different other things. It was, see, I did storytelling and battle maps and economics and everything all in one series when I did that invasion one. I mean, not the invasion one. I mean the internal conflict one. See, the invasion ones are just the battles. Like, that's all it is. It's just the battles. It's just the campaigns. It's just the maps. It's not... I didn't put any real storytelling in that. Like I did the stories separate. The stories were separate. I typed those out. And now I'm doing an audio book. The audio book is audio storytelling. So you can listen to me read it. But, I didn't have that all under one series as far as the, within the same playlists. In fact, the Invasion one is scattered between two playlists. I have the Northwest one about the Northwest. Then I have the 96-hour Invasion one, which covers it by different regions. I covered Florida. I covered the Northeast because I covered Northern Maryland. Which was the first one. I covered Southern Maryland and Virginia. I covered Missouri, and yeah, that was it. That was for the multi regions before I did the Northwest. And I didn't do one for Texas because that would have been too big, because that was where all these externals were crossing to go north. Huge forces were going because they were forking out into different directions, and you had the ones going up there. Yeah, and then when I wrote the stories, I talked about Phoenix. I talked about when the prong that was going this way went up through there. I didn't ever cover California. That would have been another huge prong like Texas. It would have been really big because of all the population that's in California. And you had the ones coming down here, which I did cover, because even though this is a sparsely populated part of the country, I still at least covered it, so you could sort of get an idea that there was a lot going on out west, even though it wasn't as big as down here, what that would have been. I didn't cover up in the further up northeast, but you already know that they would have been coming through the funnel here and branching out and coming down. It would have been multiple prongs of invasion for the externals. And then, of course, you have all the Trojans rising up in all corners on their CCP properties, which would be setting up logistical supply points along major key invasion routes for the externals, but also for their own troops, for the other Trojan units that would be shuffling around, going for key specific objectives, whether that be infrastructure, cities, installations, whatever, what have you. It would all be the same, That is hybrid warfare, when you have the Trojans rising up, starting to do the heavy lifting, the seizure of vital areas and cities and key strategic objectives. And then you would have your externals coming in to, basically be a heavy-handed reinforcements, like a mobile strike force. They would go inland and begin to fan out to assist the Trojans that were already here, already rising up out of CCP properties to start capturing objectives and setting up logistical supply points, which would be CCP properties that were specially designated as the logistical resupply areas, where the units would go to fuel up, get more ammo, get whatever they needed to continue the mission. That's exactly what that would be. But yeah, let's see what everybody's saying here. Hey, Lady M, good to see you. Yeah, I'm just doing a quick live. Yeah, I'm just doing a quick one. This isn't going to be very long at all. I was just going to continue even though I usually do on a Tuesday, I wasn't even really going to do one. I'm sort of not, all the way with it, because I didn't have anything planned. I didn't have anything written out to go over. So this is just me, just talking like I did in the last one. Nothing planned, nothing special. I'm just talking. Yeah, these are all very serious. These are serious, YFM. Very serious, very dire. Things are getting very serious. See, all those hypotheticals are all based on 100% unadulterated facts. And now you see parallels to it happening in real time. It's right at the point where it's all beginning to happen in real time. People would have to be fools to deny it. You'd have to be a complete fool. I mean, there's evidence of everything that I put in this internal conflict scenario. There's evidence of all of it. It's all happening. Like I went over at the beginning of this video, or near the beginning. I was saying that, you got your 260,000 who are disgruntled, who have been threatened by the mandates and everything. I put that in the documentary too. I even put food stamp riots in Chicago. Well, they're talking about messing with the link cards. What's the link card? The link card in Illinois is their welfare program. So what if that leads to the food stamp riots, like at the beginning of my documentary. Could be. Could be. I'm not saying it will or won't. I'm just saying it could be. What if it is? I had so much detail in that first video, the origins video, the very first one of the 5 video series. I put so much detail into that. I really did. A lot of thought went into all of that. I mean, it really, really did. So much detail. Is that going to be something? I mean, it might be. It could be. If they're going to really do that and it's going to, cause hiccups, what if it does trigger those exact sorts of events? It could, very well could. We already see the Free American Army origins coming into being, I mean, you've got those 260,000, that very easily could become something like that. Easily. You got the Texas secessionist movement. You already got that type of thing in Texas. You already got Florida acting, on its own. You already got, the stuff in Mexico, the drug war causing the La Raza people, what I called La Raza narco state. I called them that in mine, but they're going to call themselves whatever they want to call themselves. Like I said, when it happens in real life, the factions might have different names, but they'll all be operating under the exact same, conditions and premises as these other ones that I had in mind. Like I told people, this is the most realistic rendition of an internal conflict that you're ever going to see, before it even happens. That's why this is hyper realistic. It's hyper realistic. So we all know that these things are all very real. I mean, even the Army of the Southeast, they had their own ideas of Southern secessionism, and they wanted to eventually become part of Florida after they liberated their, southeastern coastal states. So there you go. You already have that type of stuff. That's all real. The origins of each of these factions in this scenario were all based on real things in our world. It's around us right now, and has been really. But I mean, it's all the stuff that's happening right now is nearly identical to what happened in that origins video. If people listen to that, you find that it's shockingly similar to everything you see going on right around you right now. I just think people really should go watch that whole documentary if they haven't already done so. They should go make a whole day to watch that. They really, really should. In my opinion, my humble opinion, I really do. Even I catch myself listening to it. Like I said, I actually enjoyed it because I thought that, out of all the stuff I did, I find that the most enjoyable to just sit and just listen to because of how many things are under one series. Like if I put that playlist on, I can just have it playing in the background and listening to it, and it's actually enjoyable for me because I love those old History Channel documentaries where they would, just have all these battles, but they would also actually like tell you about the leaders, and they would tell you about the economies, like all in one series. Like I used to love those types of History Channel documentaries where they would talk about multiple subjects under one thing. That's why I can listen to that playlist and enjoy it. Yeah, I mean, even though it's a hypothetical, it's eerily similar to real life. Eerily so, especially right now with everything that's happening. So I can actually enjoy that. If out of all the things I made, even though my invasion stuff, I did it. I did it exactly the way their doctrines are. I mean, that's eerily real too. I'm just saying that I enjoyed this because of how much I put in one thing. Like instead of like separating a story and the battle maps, it was all in one. It was all in one. I didn't go type out like any stories for it. I just put it all in one single thing, which made it enjoyable. I mean, like I said, the invasion stuff, as good as that was, it was too separate as far as the stories and the actual maps. I wish I had put them all in one thing now, but in retrospect, but it's too late. I mean, I already did it the way I did it, so no sense in going and doing a new one. I mean, it's already separate and there. The work's already put in, so There's no sense in going back and redoing a whole invasion one where I put everything together. I'm just going to leave it the way it is. It's all up. If people want to go watch it, they should. They really should. If you want to know about how our enemies work and what they're going to do and how they're going to do it, how it's going to look and move, go watch the invasion stuff too. I strongly, strongly urge people to do that. But if you really, or read the stories, if you want to know what it's like at the ground level, at the micro level, where you're like a person on the ground versus a macro level where you're looking at a map, yeah, go read the stories that I typed out, or listen to the audiobook if you just don't like to read. Lady M, I know you've read all my stories. You know how they are. And if you just like the map battles, you can watch those. I mean, but either way, just go and look at some of it at least, so you can just get your idea of what it looks like. I mean, that's why I did all that. That's why I did it all. I want people to know what this stuff looks like and moves like and is like. What the doctrines are like of our enemies and everything. That's, and I made the internal one too, because that's also going to happen before we even get invaded. So I felt I didn't devote enough attention to this. Yeah, I didn't devote enough attention to this, so that's why I went and made one about the internal conflict. I've talked about it in the past, but I never really devoted any energy to it. I went straight to doing invasion work, but you know what? I felt that was important, so I went back and did that. Yeah, let's see what everybody's saying here. Who's all in here? Yeah, food situation. Yeah, it's getting close to that collapse, Lady M. It's really getting close to that collapse. The food and fuel, economic and financial collapse, that's what caused all of this, and then us to be invaded. It all started with a collapse. All of this happens in a logical, rational order. We have a collapse first of food, fuel, economy, and finance. It all around the same time, because the logistical system is going to go with it. There's going to be no shipping, no anything. Everything's going to be at a standstill. And, what you get left with is what you got, whether that's good or bad. You're going to end up with what you end up with, good or bad or indifferent. That's just how it's going to be. And then this is going to, become a thing, and then we're going to be invaded when we're at our weakest after this has happened. Yep. Yeah, thank you, Angry Scandinavian. Thank you. Yeah, my work is intel before the intel. You know what I mean? Like, my work is intel before the intel. Like, I predicted the future based on what our enemies have said and everything. I mean, I've told people a lot of things before it's even in the news. I ain't no prophet. I ain't no watchman. I'm just a lowly researcher and analyst, I piece together information. I'm just a lowly researcher and analyst. I'm not nobody. I'm not no watchman. See, I feel like it would be pretentious of to call myself something like a watchman or a prophet or whatever, I ain't none of that. I'm just a researcher. Hey, Jen. Hey, baby. Good to see you. Yeah, Angry Scandinavian, thank you, bro. Yeah, I've done a lot of research into all of this. I've put a lot of time and energy and effort into this, and even making these things to show the research I've compiled, even making all this work, and I sure didn't even have to do that, but I chose to do it because it's the right thing to do. It's like if you see a train coming down the railroad track and somebody's playing on the railroad tracks, you would tell them to get off the tracks, right? Right? I would hope, I mean, that's what I see this as. That's what this is. I'm telling people that there's a train coming and you better get off the tracks, That's what the invasion work is. It's showing people exactly what's coming, how it's coming, every last detail of it, so people can get off the tracks. I tell people the news before it's news. Before it's news. Shit, man. And I sure didn't even have to. But if you did the level of research I've did into our enemies and all this other stuff, I mean, man, then you would have to tell people. It would be an injustice. It would be an injustice not to tell people these things. It would be an injustice. It would be unjust. If I knew all this stuff and I didn't share it with nobody, that would be unjust, As far as our enemies goes and, even just putting this together too, this internal conflict one. Because that's exactly what it'll be like. It's going to be with different factions. It's not going to be no left-right paradigm BS. It might look like it might be, but it's not. It's not. Because when everything falls apart and collapses, ain't nobody gonna give a damn about no, left, right, anything. No, hell no. People are gonna cling to what they cling to in their own little areas, and they're all gonna rise up, and they're gonna have strong men, local strong men, who are gonna seize power in their own regions, areas, cities, whatever, communities. They're going to be strong men that rise up everywhere, and they're going to take control everywhere in their own local areas. That's how it's going to be. That's how it's been in most every other internal conflict anywhere else. That's how it's going to be here. And I'm talking about modern times, in the modern era. Look at Syria. Syria is about the closest thing to this as you're ever going to see. It really is. Syria, there was over a dozen different factions in Syria. Some were small, some were big. But that can teach you a lot about what these things look like. You have like multiple way battles going on, where you have like 3-4-sided battles in some areas, where there's like 3 or 4 different groups fighting each other, little small armies, private armies. Like in the Macon battle, you had Free American Army, the regime, and the Army of the Southeast fighting each other in one city, in one area. You had, where was it? You had right here in Las Vegas, you had the regime, you had Free American Army, you had Union of Southwest Militias, and you even had a little bit of the Mormon state forces all fighting over the Hoover Dam in Las Vegas, You would have stuff like that in a Syrian-style conflict. It would be multiple way battles where you have different factions all fighting each other in one spot, in one area. It would be madness. It would be utter madness, total madness, complete chaos, pandemonium. There's no other word for it, really. But that's about as real as it ever is going to be. It's not going to be no two-sided anything. It's not going to be no, left versus right. People aren't going to give a damn about none of that. When it becomes about survival, they're all going to band together with any strong man in their area that promises them better things. That's always how it is. That's always how it is. When people are desperate, because of what human nature is, they're always looking for someone to lead them. And they're going to be, most people are gullible, are they not? They're gonna be clinging easy to these strong men when these different factions come out of the woodwork, and they will, when different factions come out of the woodwork in their own areas, and they start promising very desperate people good things, better things. Well, what do you think those people are gonna do? Think they're gonna give a rat's ass about the old paradigms? Hell no. No, because what's the old paradigm done for them? It's run it all into the ground. And that's what they're going to be focusing on, is for people to bring them out of it, not people that, that are associated with what caused it to begin with, That's always how those things happen. People should know better by now. It's just the way it is. And it's naive, it's extremely naive, very naive, to think that in a nation this vast, this populated, that you don't have people lurking in the shadows, plotting and scheming things. It's very naive. It's extremely naive. Gullible. If you don't think in a nation of nearly 340 million within its borders, if you think that there's not people that are doing their own thing off in the corner, plotting and planning in the shadows, if you think that that's not happening in a country this big, you're sorely mistaken. You are sorely mistaken. This is too big of a land, and there's too many people for that to not be happening. There's past precedents of it happening. I mean, the Weather Underground was basically, the Weather Underground was a group that was caught. That's just one. And that was back in the 70s. Imagine now, in worse times. Imagine now. There were other groups back in the 70s. Weather Underground wasn't the only group that was ever doing anything like that. There were other groups back then. But imagine nowadays. Can you even fathom? Man, people better get their heads right. Better get out of this, left-right globalist created BS. And they better start recognizing that this land is extremely big and there's a lot of people in it. And besides that, there's also a lot of well-equipped people, of course. It's very naive to think that there's not groups, doing things in the shadows. And we already see, like I've been saying in this video, there's already precedents for every faction I've shown in this entire map. There's already versions of it happening in real life. In real life. In real life. You're seeing it. It's happening in real time. I've already equated these things. I've already equated the groups in Mexico that are going to come over and become what the La Raza was in my scenario, or the kooks that became what the Mormon state was, or any of these other things, or the Free American Army, those 260,000. Hell, I even had food stamp riots in it, like what we see in Chicago. They're messing with the link cards. That could become something like that. We don't know. I mean, but it has the potential to be. Sure it does. Sure it does. I mean, look, you got all of these different ideologies that are going to come out and start to clash with one another. It's bound to happen. It's bound to happen. There's no denying it. I mean, you'd have to be a fool to deny that. Let's see what everybody's saying here. Yeah. Lady M, I know. Yeah, you're right, Jennifer, love, it is. It's sad. It's sad. I have a son. I don't want him to see any of this. I don't want him to see the land he grew up in descend into that, but, there's nothing I can do to stop it, I mean, it's a shame. It's a shame. This whole place has gone by the wayside. This whole place has fallen so fast, so far, and so hard. Yeah, Angry Scandinavian. The Chinese did progress extremely far that fast. In 20 years, they went from having they were still powerful, but compared to us 20 years ago, they weren't that powerful. They were sort of like a backwater. Like in Asia, they were still pretty strong because of the countries they could threaten by land, because they always had a big army, and a big air force. But it was like now they grew their navy, they modernized their army. They still have a huge army, the biggest one in the world, the biggest forces on Earth, paramilitary and military. There's no one that can hold a candle to them, and they're extremely modernized. The way they have their units built up, and now, I mean, not just with equipment, but the way they're organized is better. It's like they organize their units like the way we do with our combat infantry brigades or our combined arms units. It's like they reorganized everything. They don't have these unwieldy, humongous, single grouped forces anymore, like corps-sized forces. Now they broke it down into smaller brigades that can act independently if they need to. And yeah, they give them a lot more leeway than they used to. They organized them a lot like we have our forces organized. They took a lot from us, man. They took a lot, and they improved and modernized their forces. They stole all of our technology, and then they started developing their own, and now they've outpaced us. Yeah, that's real. That happened. 20 years. See, in the 90s, that was when they were starting to jack us of everything, like all our stuff, all our tech, all our methods, everything that they saw that we had that gave us an advantage. Man, they stole it. They took it. And now they've replaced us as the world superpower. Uncontested. It's uncontested. And they've left us behind in the dust. In tech, in military, in economics, in finance, everything. They've left us in the dust. Biggest gold holder on Earth. They're changing their messaging systems for financial transactions from SWIFT to SIPS. They're doing a digi-yuan. They can back it with their new petro-yuan. They've got the biggest gold holdings. They have the biggest economy on Earth, biggest manufacturing sector on Earth, biggest military industries on Earth, most steel production on Earth, highest rate of technological advancement on Earth, And I've gone over all of that before. This ain't nothing new. I'm not just to beat that dead horse again. And look, they have the biggest, most powerful military on earth. It's uncontested, and nobody can touch it. Nobody can touch it. So that's what we're facing in the future. And when we have descended into this, that's what we got to look forward to. We'll climb out of one hole and you're still in a bigger hole. You climb out of the hole of this and you're in an even bigger hole where you're facing China and Russia, the two top most powerful nations on earth, that are going to crush us. They're going to crush us like as if we were an ant. Like we were an ant. Because that's what we basically will be to them by then. I mean, we already are pretty weak now. They could beat us. They could kick our asses now. But they want us so weak that we can't even really lift a finger against them. That's how weak they want us. And that, man, that's cruel, man. That's cruel. That is cruel shit, man. That's cruel. I'm just going to say it like it is. That's some cruel shit to lay on somebody. You want them that weak that they can't even defend themselves at all. At all. That's cruel. That's how austere they are, too. They're so cheap and frugal and austere-minded. That's just the way they think. That's how they think. But that is some cruel-ass shit to do to somebody. To make sure that they're weakened that bad to where they can't even do a damn thing to stop it. Yeah, and that's where the saying comes from. Well, Debbie, if you don't like it, get on down the road. That's not cussing. The word shit is a synonym of feces or excrement. And the word ass is in the Bible. I only say things that are either in the Bible or that it's not really a bad word. If you don't like it, then go. You know, I'm not here to impress nobody. I'm being myself. If you don't like it, go. I ain't a goody two-shoes Christian. I'm a real Christian. You know, I'm trying to improve my life, and I don't need people pointing nothing out that they think that they perceive or misperceive, rather, that they misperceive that I'm doing. Yeah, get rid of them. Thank you. Thank you, baby. Yeah, so, yeah, that's you know, I'm not with all that kind of BS anyway. I'm not with all that goody two-shoes BS. I've lived a real life, and in real life, you know, people can't be nitpicky and petty. So anyways, yeah, Nixon and Kissinger, back where I was saying with you, Angry Scandinavian, yeah, it's total art of war. Thank you, Jennifer Lovey. Thank you for getting rid of that troll. Appreciate you. Yeah, that Nixon and Kissinger, they originated the saying that came out around that time. There was that the Chi-Coms we would sell the Chi-Coms the rope that they would use to hang us with. We would sell the Chi-Coms the rope that they would use to hang us with. And that sure did happen. All the way. Yes, baby. That was glorious. That was glorious. Yeah, anybody comes in acting stupid or petty like that, kick their ass out. Kick them out. Yup, boot them. Zap them. But yeah, let me see what else everybody's been saying before I get off here. I've been on here a good while. Yeah, Mary, that's another thing, too. The woke military, they have stress cards and things like that. And what that is like, that's a real thing. When I was getting out of the military, they started to institute that in basic training. And that was the beginning of the wokeification, where if they feel stressed, then they can, like, hold up their stress cards and go take some time out. You think in a war... You think the Chinese are going to give a damn about that? Or the Russians? Nah. Try holding up your card while you're in a foxhole. See what happens. Get your hand blown off. Yeah, that's not realistic at all. Our military is supposed to train the way they fight, but they're not doing that anymore. Now they're training them to be a bunch of punks, woke pansies. That's just the way it is. Yeah, exactly, Mama Freddy. That's what I'm saying. We've already sold them the rope that they're hanging us with right now. It's already underway. It's been underway. It's been underway. Yep. Yeah, Lady M. I don't recognize it either. When I was getting out of the army, it wasn't this bad as it is today, but it was already starting. It was like the very beginning of it was beginning as I was getting out. That was when they repealed, you know what? That's when they repealed that certain thing. That's what really started it all. Because they wanted people to start being open about their whatever they were, in public, instead of like, keeping that shit, in the bedroom or behind closed doors where, wherever it belongs. You know how I feel about all that. So it's like people know I'm not for that at all, but I'm just saying that, at least back then when people kept their personal business in personal places, it didn't ruin the cohesion and the discipline of our armed forces. They've totally ruined everything. They've ruined the cohesion and the discipline of our armed forces when they started trying to get people to be sexualized in public, regardless of whether they're hetero or whatever, or homosexual or what have you. When you start being sexual in public, that's not a public activity, regardless of what it is. You're not supposed to, worry about that type of shit in public. That's disgusting, It's not for public spaces. But here we are. Here we are now. They've totally gutted just about everything that was wholesome or good about our whole nation and society. And now here we are, we're on the brink. We're teetering on collapse. We're like teetering on the brink of collapse right now. Right now. And everything I've put in those documentaries is coming to life or is about to come to life. Between the internal conflict one, starting from the Origins video, all the way to the invasion videos. Those and the stories I typed out and the audiobook I'm doing now, that stuff ain't, 100% fiction. It's realistic fiction. It's realistic fiction. It's hyper-realistic fiction. Meaning, for now, it isn't real. For now. Give it some time, though. Give it some time. Oh, yeah, it'll become all too real then. It'll become all too real then. For now, it's realistic fiction. But give it some time. And see if some minds change about that. Yeah. We didn't think we would see a lot of things that happened in the past 2 years. It's not a stretch to realize that a lot more shit is going to befall this place and its people. It's not a stretch at all to realize that. That's a fact. You can take it to the bank and you can cash it. That's a fact, Hey, but who am I? Who am I? I ain't nobody, right? And I'm not, I mean, I'm a combat veteran of the Iraq War, I live by myself with 3 cats, I ain't nobody. I'm just good at researching. I'm just a very diligent, hardworking researcher and amateur analyst, meaning I can put together the puzzle pieces. That's what I do. I piece together information. I piece together research. I piece it all together. And I use that to create renditions of reality as it will exist in the future. As it will exist. As it will exist. Based on real information from the present. From the present. So, that's what I do here. That's the entire point of everything I do. And why I do it is because it's the right thing to do. It's because I see that train coming. I see it coming down the tracks. It's coming fast. And there's people playing on the tracks. They don't realize there's a train coming. I'm trying to get them out of the way so they don't get run over. And I'm not going to lie. There's going to be a lot of people that aren't going to make it. A lot of people aren't going to make it in what's coming in the future. A lot of people are not going to make it, But regardless, some people have the chance to make it if they would actually give a shit, do what they're supposed to do to prepare, and stay close to God, and hope that God uses you and your preps to get through what's coming. That's the reality. You have to meet God halfway. You can't expect God to do everything. You have to take initiative, like how Noah built the ark and God shut the door, how Joseph harvested and stored away the grain and God stretched it. You have to do your part. David threw the stone from his sling and God guided it into Goliath's head. There's so many examples. You have to meet God halfway. You got to show some initiative, and He'll bless you. He'll make sure it works. That's all I'm saying. People have to do their part. You can't sit on your ass and make excuses and not do what you're supposed to do. You have to do something. You have to show some initiative. Yeah, I wish I could. I'd hang out with you, Angry Scandinavian. I'd kick it with you. Hell, I'd kick it with anybody. Really, I would. If people are close to me, I'm not opposed to, meeting up and talking with people or whatever. I'm a pretty social person. Just because I live alone doesn't mean, I don't like to talk to other people. I'm fine with it. You just have to, use caution in this day and age. That's the only thing. But other than that, I'm not against it. I know you're good people, man. I know you're good people. You got to use discernment, folks. I know who's legit and who isn't. You just got to use good discernment. That's what it's all about. God's Holy Spirit will give you discernment like that. See who's all in here. Push all these buttons. It's not even showing the chat. Well, I can't see anything, y'all. Oh, okay, here it is. YFam says, hey, Jeffrey. I can't see anything else, so that's weird. Oh, okay, here it is. Yeah, hey, what's up, Jeffrey? Yeah, I would definitely hang out with you, Angry Scandinavian. I would, man. I would. All right, y'all. I will definitely be keeping track of what the score is here as far as how things are lining up with the what I created in my documentaries. Like I said, this is eerily similar, folks. Eerily similar. It kept me up the other night. It kept me up. I'd already been up for a long time, but when I saw that development going on in Mexico, I was like, oh, here we go. Just like what I made in that documentary, along with everything else that I conveyed, along with everything else that I've already gone over, and why it lines up. It's crazy, but here it comes. Thank you for being patient with me, everybody. Like I said, I didn't plan anything today, nothing special. In fact, I was debating even to go live or not because I didn't have anything to really, cover important. But, I figured, hey, why not? I always do a live on Tuesdays, so I didn't want to keep nobody waiting. I didn't want to not do anything. But I'm just sort of ad hocing it, and I appreciate everybody's patience with me and just letting me be me, You all be blessed. Let's see. Anybody have anything else? Oh. All right. Well, y'all have a blessed afternoon, evening, night, whatever it is. Y'all take care.